Hello. Welcome back to Defense Diaries. I am your host, Bob Mata, and I am joined by my brilliant and beautiful co-host, Allie. What's up, girl? And slightly under the weather, but feeling a bit better. How you doing, babe?
Yeah, I'm feeling better. A little makeup and a little touch up my appearance, and I'm good to go for a
Look
live.
gorgeous, per usual. I'm glad that you're able to join us because I absolutely I love Josh Schiffer so much that I would love to make him a regular over here because he's all the things. He's brilliant. He's hilarious.
I was going to say funny.
He's a father. He's a justice warrior. He is a freedom fighter. He is the father of Justice Kitteh as well. I mean, the man brings it all to the table. His legal mind is unparalleled. He's fascinating to talk to, and we have a fucking banging week to bring him on because there's so much stuff to talk about. It's like you guys are going to have to reel me in because otherwise I'm going to try to keep Josh past his bedtime. So without further ado, let me bring my friend on. Josh Schiffer, what is up, brother?
Hey, man. You picked a banger of a week, man. You get the message, and I'm like, man, yeah, that'll work. We can get this. We've been trying to do this for so long. I was like, we got a couple things we can talk about. And Bob sends me an email. Like, so what do you want to talk about? Man, we could just talk about what we're going to talk about.
All of it. All of it.
This shit's going nuts, man. The first thing, and just really thank you guys. I've been wanting to see you guys for so long. I follow you guys obviously religiously online. This true crime community, the people that really put together quality content, stuff that's worth following and sharing. There's a lot of posers out there. A lot.
Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that, brother.
You got to know who's legitimate and consistent because I don't trust these algorithms, and I don't trust any of what's being jammed down me because you don't get to control that. You only get to control what you pick and listen to.
Truth, brother.
You know, I'm figuring.
And I appreciate that so much.
But as things develop and there's more like AI and, of course, AI content, and you don't know what to trust in the news, people are going to have to resort to the people that they've seen with their eyes, you know, at some point in time, and that they know are like real human beings. So
this AI stuff, when you talk about fundamentally changing how human beings interface with information, it's a wholesale change,
dude.
You're permanently changing our interaction with the data that makes life, and who knows what's going to happen.
Like, dude, I am not in any way like overselling my like absolute terror of AI. Like I don't think that people are thinking it through. I get the advancements that I'm sure are going to come along with it, but I am absolutely convinced it will absolutely be the end of humanity. Like there's no way, like when it becomes super intelligent in a way that we can't even contemplate because our brains can't get there, we're superfluous. We really are. So, you know, I mean, it's like without even like, you know, what we should have a live on, Josh, is like, I'm not on this one because we have so much shit to talk about, but like a straight up AI one with
Oh,
the
yeah.
impact it's going to have on our profession.
So I think like a criminal. I've been doing 25 years. It's just kind of what I make a pretty good living knowing how criminals think. And when I look at AI and just look at how scams have evolved in just the last 5 years, let alone 15 or 20 years, now supercharge that, replicate it, make it superhuman-like. How many tricky things are unsuspecting, well-intentioned people going to fall for? The fraud is going to be off the chart.
Well, you know those
Epic.
scams
And
they
it's
used to be
undiscernible.
Yeah.
those scams, sorry, babe. No, I did it to you. That they were playing. I don't know if you've had any clients that got it, but like they get an email that says we hacked all your pictures and images. We've seen underage photos or whatever. We're going to release it to the police if you don't pay me right now. I mean, they could start with insane stuff like the long con of somebody, playing as an adult and then being like, haha, I was a child and we've been talking a really long time and we've got a lot of sexual messages and now I'm going to give it to the police they can even have police call.
And it's automated. That's what people don't get is it doesn't require the bad guy to sit there behind and clickety. Justice Kitteh,
right.
I know you want to get on. She like if you hear the she's going nuts right here. But you don't need the person. You can have these billions of soulless robots doing affinity scams like you're talking about. The sweetheart. Hey, I'm going to send you a couple messages. We're going to message. Then I'm going to say something. You're going to have a screenshot. Boom. Next thing you know, you're embarrassed. I'm holding something over your head. Give me a little bit of money. We get calls every month with some variation of they're trying to hold me up. I have one this month from a very highly regarded, very important professional who works in a large, let's just call it a practice, that ended up messaging with some thing on Twitter, ended up sending, and I'm like, hold on, this doesn't even make sense. And this wasn't even a super purient one. This was kind of like, hey, will you send me some more dirty photos? I kind of like talking. Next thing you know, they're calling the practice.
Wow.
Next thing you know, they've got a fake lawyer's name that they've kited off the internet and are sending fake looking lawyer stuff. Wow. And this is a guy that very educated, very heavily licensed to do lots of things. This is an idiot.
Right. Well, that reminds me.
A lifetime investment getting rug pulled because of a bullshit scam where I'm like, brah, here's the problem. If you want to play in the spicy pool, you do burn your tongue every once in a while. Like that, and you got to eat it. Because the more you interact with any of these scammers, the deeper you're gonna get. And the scams, you would never believe how deep they get.
Oh, dude. So did you see, I think it was about 6-7 months ago. I think that he was an attorney, and I think that he was testifying in front of Congress, and he was telling the story of how he got scammed. It was one morning, he was heading into the office, gets a phone call, and it's a number he doesn't recognize. He answers the phone, and it's his son. And it's his son saying, Dad, I was just in a car accident. I had been drinking a bit the night before, apparently. And this is like early morning, 7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's at 6 a.m. It's out of hours. Caught you up. And it's a spoofed number. So dude, even if your cell phone's secure, you're still getting hosed.
So he ends up, so this story is insane. So he's like, so the cops, they pulled me out of the car. I did a field sobriety. They say that I failed it. And then they said, now this guy was an attorney, but he clearly wasn't a criminal defense attorney.
And you're like, oh, bro, man.
Yeah, I'm like, what's a problem? Like, dude, wasn't that a hint there? So he says, he's like, they said that I hit a pregnant woman. So they're charging me with more. And I'm in jail. I need bond. Dude, so ends up that they had gone onto his kid's social media. The guy was targeted. They were able to deep fake the kid's voice for this entire conversation. They had a person. He gave the number. It was supposed to be an attorney. The attorney said, all right, like this fake attorney, he calls him up. He says, yeah, this is what's going on. We need to post bond right away. It's about 10 grand. And he's like, but you got to call the clerk. So he gives him the number to somebody that they have stationed who's supposed to be a county clerk or a circuit clerk. Calls there. She's clacking away. Oh, yep, here's the case. Dude, the whole thing was insane. And it was like the deep fake ability to be able to go on to people's social. Like people will be able to deep fake our shit all day, dude.
Oh, we're in a heartbeat. There was a guy that used to post on Twitter all the time with all the deep fake just pictures. And that was a couple years ago. All the core TV people's faces pasted on stuff. And, some of them were funny. A couple of them were kind of horrifying. But that's just continued to advance. Let me tell you about the scam one of my clients faced this week. Late teenager, young adult gets arrested on a pretty minor marijuana-related charges. Mom, dad come down to jail, bond him out. Late that night, get a call from a sheriff. Oh, we've got this mistake, and he was supposed to actually get this other citation, but we made an error, so we're just going to fix it. Just need you to post another $1,000 of bond.
Wow. So they're combing the dockets.
Like a cop, they got all the you're getting called late at night, emergency. You don't deal with cops, man. You're a square.
You don't know?
Right. Yeah, that people do this. You work in corporate America.
Yep.
And they're like, Josh, you mean people will fake being a cop and we don't? Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unequivocally.
People will say anything for your money.
Oh my God, dude, it's scary.
Did Josh tell where he gets his glasses, or is he pulling a Bob? He keeps it to himself.
Josh.
Okay, so I'll tell you. These glasses I owe a famous fat food man. You know who Andrew Zimmern is from TV, the Bizarre Foods guy?
I do. Yeah.
So
I'm a foodie.
He had a pair of these on like 8 seasons ago, and I saw them. And I'm like, man, I love those glasses. So a friend of mine was like, oh, they're these, and they're from iBob's. They're called, I think, shell crackers. And I love them so much. When I've tried to change them, my daughter gets upset, and the blowback from fans is severe. So I
love them myself.
Yeah,
I mean,
these are basically tattooed on till I retire. You will see them move at some point.
I mean, they're almost as if they were specifically made for your face. I mean, they're pretty perfect.
Yeah, they've become part of just the personality. That and
100%.
And the cats and
the hat.
And
you crush your hat. Your hat game's amazing, dude.
America needs hats on men again. Men need an accessory that is fun but formal, can be classy, can be. There's nothing wrong with a hat, people. They're very good for you.
For at least 20 years, Bob's been saying he's bringing the fedora back.
They're great.
I love
hats. A hat for every head.
They're
like, I got a
amazing.
giant dumb melon. There's some hats that do not look good on me. Man, I'd kill to wear some of these hats, man. They're fantastic.
Fantastic.
And you can fall all into hats like you can fall into anything else.
Absolutely.
Like, oh man, this is handmade cashmere cat butt wool from Ecuador. Man, I break. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm all about it. Yeah, I like what we were going to. I like for Halloween, I always kind of like drift into some kind of like steampunk. I just love that concept.
I love the idea of power that's steam, no electricity. That's
exactly. Awesome. And I bought like I wouldn't call it a stovepipe, but the thing is big, man. I got it. It's a beautiful hat. It's probably got about like an 8 to 10 inch crown. So it's like, and when I wear it, it's substantial. So I went and like we were going somewhere. I think it was like a Halloween. It was like a show, like a concert we were going to, and everybody was dressing up. And like I just pimped out this whole outfit, but that hat, man, was amazing. It was amazing. But I really felt bad for the people that were behind me because you literally could not see over the thing. But yeah, dude, same. I'm a huge proponent of bringing the hat back. It's like, and it vanished.
Yeah, it's totally vanished. Like
dude. I mean, it vanished off the face of the earth.
Vanished. No, it vanished, and it's an advantage. You wear a hat into court, you get another quarter step. You get another bite at a moment because you walk in and then you take off your hat. And when you get up to leave, flourish the hat back on. Like, and it gives you that momentary breath where you can demand attention from everyone because I'm a 275-pound, loud, annoying lawyer with a hat. And you're going to look at me, damn it. And when I say things, you are going to listen, whether you choose to or not.
Do you see the hat?
like serious. It's man, you go to a Masonic hall, the guy at the front's wearing a hat.
Always. They know.
It's all connected.
They know. They know. Don't get me into that rabbit hole,
dude,
man.
No,
like
we can go Illuminati if you want.
Oh my god,
dude. Illuminati all.
Oh my god.
No, my daughter was on such a kick of that, and I was like, I don't even think you understand what it is. You need to do more research.
I slipped into a whole rabbit hole
before you understand how big the conspiracies are. Because hold on, I know a whole bunch of super rich people and powerful people, so I can tell you that some of that stuff's totally true. I can also tell you that any conspiracy too complex is impossible because people are dumb. If you think that the government's really that good at stuff, you got another thing. There may be some small parts of the government. Secret. Yeah, there are some small parts of the government that are really good at keeping secret. The government as a whole is a not sophisticated operation.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
And it creates a lot of jobs for people and was very important policy to establish a middle class. And it's a very steady employer. It's great for having all kinds of different people, but you are not necessarily getting the brain trust that could execute really complicated multi-step things.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach.
You can put down the government's building a giant government can't build anything in secret. Are you kidding me?
They're just a big amorphous thing. That's what they are.
You can't have government bidding without graft and corruption. It's like the mandatory second step.
100%.
Every single mayor of every single city in America, it's we're going to deal with that interior corruption about procurement and construction. Every city in America. That is the most crooked part of your city government, no matter what city.
No doubt. I mean, dude, I live in Chicago.
It's the way that they write the check. We got one in Atlanta now. We're firing our office, the inspector general. Why'd we have to get one of those a decade ago? There was a lot of theft. What are they doing? Firing her. It's like,
for theft.
They got mad because she was using her subpoena power. I'm like, well, that's what they do. Like, have you never been investigated before? You should get used to it.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming, baby. All right, so let's start digging into this shit. I want to talk about Reed first. It's coming tomorrow.
And everybody hopefully has heard the rumor that is a very strong rumor.
Right.
Which is that the feds are no-going an investigation, nothing from levy, nothing from replacement, all of the, oh my God, there's this deep corruption and they're going to arrest all these officers from, nope.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I never thought that was happening. So, but like watching the warring factions on both sides of that, it's like,
it's the worst part of the Reed case, but it's gripping because now, like, I really care about this trial because I think technically it's super interesting.
It is.
The circus, I'm like, I want to just poo-poo this and look down on it because it's lots of the wrong of what's going on right now distilled into a discrete community.
Exactly.
But it's also so much of the right because I hate some of this attention and scrutiny on these big cases, but guess what? They're important for finding justice.
Right. Exactly.
Richard Allen, without a community of loud, annoying people at times, just gets jammed down into the garbage disposal of the prison system.
Right. 100%. I mean, I've taken a beating on that case for 2 years without ever talking about innocence or guilt. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I got pigeonholed into being, now I have my thoughts. I tend to think that he's innocent. I base that on talking to the man's wife at length and just finding out about who he was and just knowing about his bad, for whatever reason, on top of the fact that it was just evidentiary speaking, a very weak case.
Yeah, I don't even get to guilt or innocence. I tend to not think he's guilty.
Right.
But I know that they didn't give him anywhere close to a fair trial.
Bingo. That's it.
And that's the whole kitty, man.
That's it.
If I've seen the photo on the front page.
That's it.
Give the man a fair trial. If your case is that good, fair trials are even easier. How do we see the state bone these cases? Well, you charged 40 things instead of 5. You went for 15 counts and top penalties that are LWOP, life without parole, when really they would have taken a big fat plea the moment you offered it once we kind of got to the let's shit or get off the pot moment.
Right. 100%.
Like, people ask me all the time, oh, why do they only try these? Well, there was no choice because that politician, that prosecutor who wants to get elected and wants to show that they're doing a good job, and I don't hold that against them, but they really liked the punishment angle and optics of the case. They chose not to make a better offer on.
Right.
Because ain't nobody pleading to life without.
Right.
Ever.
And just so you guys all know,
go to trial.
Right. In case it wasn't clear, Josh is talking universally about the system. And the issues with the system.
And because that's really how we get to a Richard Allen case, that absent people who care about the system as much as a person.
Right.
And it's those people. I'm so pleased to see some people that oftentimes I fight with my prosecutor friends look at that Richard Allen case and go, whoa. That doesn't comport with the fundamentals of fairness. Right. And you know as well as I do, our best friends in the criminal justice system are the really good cops who care and do their job. These are the ladies and gentlemen that really hold us together, because when we see them, when we interact with, and we know the work they did, man, our job gets really hard.
It does.
There's some detectives that I see, I'm like, that's going to be a real thorough report. and I've cross-examined him. He doesn't shake. He wrote what he saw. He ain't lying. He'll give you the bad facts way up front in a way that lands pretty soft because he's a good testifier.
I could not be a bigger fan of good cops. I mean, I champion good cops. Like, there's this concept that that people think that you're a defense attorney, so by definition you hate cops. I'm like, no.
We just hate a lot of the dirty tricks that we've seen.
Yeah, I hate liars. I hate pieces of shit that are petty and vindictive and small and
power hungry.
And I can tell you all kinds of reasons that I dislike a lot of law enforcement. I have law enforcement, some of my best friends in the world, because the best law enforcement literally makes our nation. It is the glue that holds our
100%.
Nation. And people yell at me when I go to these criminal defense. Make a cop a $200,000 a year job everywhere, not just Canton, Massachusetts. Every beat cop in the rural South got paid $150,000, $200,000 a year for a 40, 45-hour work week. We would have awesome cops.
Right.
We would have cops who were like, no, there's 9 more dudes that want that job.
Right.
Exactly. You better do that job good.
Exactly.
Because I got guys that want that job,
like smart, trustworthy guys that want to do good.
People that have taken an ethics class and didn't just sleep through it and are like, oh yeah, no, really, I have an obligation. You guys both know as well as I do. We don't win cases a lot of times the way people think. We win because the cops make terrible mistakes. They're undertrained. They're sitting ducks when they're in the hands of somebody that really knows what they're doing, because we don't take their job in the system very seriously.
Right.
Because most of the time when they rubber stamp stuff, man, it kind of works. I was reading a DUI report today. DUI report literally is like, I was posted up on patrol. It was 1:00 in the morning. I saw a white BMW. It had a temporary tag affixed, so I pulled it over.
Wait, where's the PC?
And I wrote the prosecutor, who's unfortunately a baby prosecutor, so I had to teach them what probable cause was. And I'm like, so besides the obvious problems with this case, can we work out obvious problems? I'm like, a black guy at 1:00 in the morning with a valid that's not probable cause. That's
right.
Like,
Have you ever seen Judge Fleischer Have you ever seen him?
Which one's that?
Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. He's like, I think he's down in Texas. And
is he the skinny black guy?
no, he's
No,
a
it's a
white
white
dude,
guy.
doesn't wear a robe, always has a bow tie on. He's always got his suit on. And this guy, he instantly became my favorite judge of all time because the first clip I ever saw of him on social media, he's saying he's questioning that they're going through the probable cause affidavit. So he's like, okay, well, what was the probable cause? The prosecutor's running through the shit. So he says, oh, okay, so walking while black. Your probable cause is walking while black. No probable cause. Boom. Tosses it. And he does it all the time, man. This guy, Judge Fleischer, he's amazing.
People don't understand. So it is so obvious to people that do this job for a living when the harassment is literally just harassment. And the idea that more people that work for the state don't call it out. Sometimes you get them. We've had some cool prosecutors that were like, nope, DC, we would call it DC time served. Disorderly conduct for time served. It was a municipal ordinance, didn't even go on your record. It meant someone decided you needed to go to jail for a night. And I hate that as a civil libertarian. I like that as a citizen of a large city where, guess what? Some adults need some time out every once in a while.
Right.
For those that don't know, until 2008, I was one of the most enjoyable drunks in the world. I know a lot about disorderly violating of things. We need timeout for adults.
We do.
It shouldn't ruin their lives. We should take them away before they can do something truly stupid.
Yeah.
And so I get some. I love. We've got one locally that if you've not seen her, Judge Alex Manning does the pre-trial. She is fantastic if you ever catch her on TV. But back to Reed, because I just got people expecting some savior issue. Man, just trust the system. I know it is a red hot mess, but the system was built on red hot messes. Every appeal was something that someone was pissed off and thought was wrong. Every rule and came out of ostensibly good, smart people fighting about how to do this fairly. And I'm no fan of some of the shenanigans that have happened. I think the judge has justification to be more straightforward in her courtroom control. I can only tell you how my judges react in similar situations. And while I have some that are extraordinarily permissive, I don't believe any of them would have let it get to kind of where we're at now. Right. Because it's legitimately affecting the rights of not just the stakeholders, but the associated third parties, witnesses. It's causing a real problem in the community. I'm friends with a couple people that literally I've known for 30 years that live there. And they're like, yeah, all these people are nuts.
Yeah.
And they're sick of it. And they're never going to pop their head up and talk about it because they're people that live in Canton.
Right.
Has something new come out? Because I haven't been paying attention to anything.
No.
Well, the big news was the feds allegedly are saying they're not going to go investigate the cops. Tomorrow, we're going to watch Judge Canone explain more about her cryptic order and message. There's going to be some sort of question and answer session with the lawyers. I assume the court is having its own independent inquiry about production, but it may be upon motion of the Commonwealth. I don't know how, Bob, do you know any idea, or Allie, any idea how it's going to proceed that way? Like, is the judge going to examine people, or are they going to let Bremer cross-examine you next?
I think ultimately, I think what she'll have to do is she's gonna request from the bench. I don't know that she'll put anybody on the stand. I think she's gonna address Jackson as to the things that, because to me, I think what the impetus of it was ultimately was the fact that Brennan initially, when he misspoke or whatever happened there, when he's saying, he starts slipping into this concept of, there was a bill of $23,900 that was tendered from ARCA to the defense. And there was also this direct examination script that was going between Dr. Wolf and Alan Jackson. And The defense didn't turn that over to me. I had to get that through the feds. And like at that point, her ears perked up. And then he doubled down. He says, so he says it again and again. I didn't get that through the defense. I got it through my TUI request. And at that point, she's losing her mind because it makes it seem like the defense is hiding the ball with respect to ARCA and what they are. Like the one thing I can tell you about Alan Jackson, dude, talking about a guy who's crafted a career for decades. He's not flushing it down the toilet for Karen Reed. He's not paying off ARCA.
Excellent point. No one risks it all in a case like no. That's not asinine to think that they would do. There are lawyers that have made bad ethical calls intentionally, and guess what? It's pretty clear when they do. I don't believe. This is what I believe. I believe that Kitteh has an idea, just like you're saying. This is what happened, and there's been shenanigans with this bill, and it appears that I may have an opportunity to really crank down on a solid infraction if the facts justify it. But it's got to be solid facts. And what I'm really wondering is if tomorrow is a whole bunch of nothing because Jackson and Yannetti show up and go, okay, here's the whole list of confidential emails for you to look at in camera. And here is when we made contact. Here's when money was sent. Here's the explanation clearly with an invoice of what the money was for, how it was and it's just not I didn't do it's here's what actually happened.
Here's receipts.
Decide whether this is wrong or not.
Right.
I think everybody's all wound out about the order of disclosure. And that dog, I don't think hunts unless she wants to almost maliciously sanction or enforce disclosure rules.
Right. The way that I see it, there were two issues primarily. It was the money, which Alan Jackson doubled down when he was outside talking to the press. They asked him, "Did you pay ARCA?" He's like, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
So I don't know that any money ever exchanged hands. I think Alan Jackson's absolutely going to be able to prove that they got the invoice. This is when it came in. So the other issue, so I think the money issue is a non-issue. I think that the other thing that's going to come about that I'm a little bit confused by, initially when the feds, when ARCA was on their dime, there was a protective order in place. Both sides were told when the TUI request was honored and they sent out the reports to both sides that, look, they're on our dime. You can't talk to them at this point. At some point, I'm assuming after the voir dire, when the defense got the report, they're like, oh, well, this is amazing. We have two independent scientists that are coming down on our side.
Yeah.
I kept trying to explain to people, I'm like, you cannot get more mana from heaven than that.
Yeah. You're talking a Fed expert on your side that already did the work. Yes, please.
Yes,
any case you want. And these people are like, ARCA's hosed. They're never going to. Are you kidding me? You clearly don't employ expert witnesses very often. You don't understand this marketplace of ideas, do you? Because ARCA's fine.
ARCA's
they are not going out of business anytime soon.
Yeah, nobody from ARCA is getting arrested. Dr. No. The stuff you see online is I don't even get sucked into it.
Yeah, no, and you can't, because I think that you're really right, and I believe that the defense is going to come out with a very plausible, explainable, here's what happened. Yeah, you don't have a clear story of what happened, Judge, because you had to learn it third hand through trial, through written motions, through scuttlebutt in court. Let me just rip this off and give it to you.
Right.
Here's the order of events. ARCA got hired by the Fed, did the work. That work got paid for. There was a protective order.
By the feds.
Yeah, by the feds. We don't know the terms of that, how it expires. Man, I've not had a chance to read it. I assume someone smart has. But that's going to control some of this. And hold on. Anybody else read it? No one's read it.
Right.
So we've got a lot of scuttlebutt about, it's going to give Judge Kitteh the opportunity to just destroy the. No. She's going to explore what happened. And if somebody screwed up, I don't even think it rises to an issue of more than a stern wag of the finger.
Well, it doesn't, but she did respond in a way with all of her drama and her
Well,
shaking and her words, like she's planning. This is grave for the defense attorneys.
I think. No, sorry.
No, I was going to say, but the whole thing with this, Bob and I were talking about the experts and the fact that she is not allowing them to say that they were hired by the feds. So, you know, they because of what you guys were just talking about, like how amazing it is to have a neutral somebody who had nothing to do with either side do their investigation on their own, like that is such a big deal. But there was a juror interview, and the juror basically said it in not so many words, but based on the words that the juror spoke, like they were so skeptical of this entity not associated with the defense or the prosecution that they didn't trust it. Like they were like, we needed another expert to come and say X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z was exactly what Crash Daddy said, but we needed a different expert to say it because we didn't know if they were hired by someone civilly, hired by Turtle Boy. I think they said
it's
or
where's
an
the validation?
Insurance company. Like, you know, they're sitting back there instead of listening to the content of the testimony, they're trying to figure out who the hell they are.
And then they discredit them.
It's an exercise in hiding shit from the jury, because really it's like, all right, people, you think you get a fair trial here in America? You are sadly mistaken.
I don't see how the judge doesn't see when the police experts testify. They get all the backings of being law enforcement. When feds get on the stand for the prosecution, they're not able to say that we work for the FBI. They're not able to say we're the federal forensic team of X, Y, and Z. They need to, in my opinion, they need to go back in, file a motion in Lemonade and say, we need a new ruling for the next trial of either we tell them they're hired by the feds or we tell them something hired by a law enforcement agency so that they're not left thinking, I don't trust these people at all. It's like literally having the opposite effect.
Preach. And look at the biggest cases right now and how they all share something important in common with the hiding and the disallowing and the unavailability. Hughes, I can't talk about what I really want to talk about. That's his big problem. Richard Allen, he can't talk about this whole swath of stuff that is absolutely, I don't care if you don't believe it's true, it exists.
Right. Yeah, so let me ask you this, Josh. So the other potential issue I think arose, and that's what I was saying. There was the protective order, then the way that it looked. So feds hire them, DOJ hires them, they do the work, they prepare the report. This is all done unbeknownst to either side. So they had no idea what was going on. They do the report, they catch wind of it, either the defense or the Commonwealth. I'm assuming it was the defense that caught wind of it first. They're like, oh shit, well, let's do a 2E request. Let's try to get this stuff. Cause it was born out of the Sandra Birchmore case, which really does require the feds to be looking into it, you know, and then you had the bleed over from the same department.
Affirmative obligations just create problems. You know that.
Exactly. So, but where it gets weird is that, so after they get the report, they read the report, they're like, okay, we want to call these guys. Okay. So judge is like, all right, well, you've got Dr. Russell and you've got these two ARCA guys, Wolf and Rensselaer, you want to call, but you know, like I don't have anything. You're not turning anything over. And they're like, well, we both sides got the exact same shit. You know what I mean? Like we got the same discovery from the feds as far as the two ARCA guys. So she's like, okay, well, I want them to come in and we're going to have a voir dire of the witnesses. And then I'll decide whether or not they're going to be allowed to testify for the defense. So she calls them in. They're obviously qualified
to travel there, remember? And that's what I'm really thinking is I'm like, is someone picking up a receipt and being like, yeah, I had to cover their travel.
So here's my question for you though. So once she says that they can now testify on behalf of the defense, they're listed as defense witnesses. Is there anything in your estimation untoward about Alan Jackson preparing the witness for his examination. I mean, like I've done it. We've done it in every single case we've ever tried.
If you have, like you're saying, those prerequisites met, if it's not subject to the protective order, if it was validly obtained through the discovery process, as long as you obey the rules of witness prep, as far as I'm concerned, judge can have all the contact with them that they want. Now, if there are prohibitions or if they've stated something different than that or made an agreement, who knows? I'm wondering if there was some sort of conflict in the statement of we didn't coordinate with them, and somebody saying, well, that's actually coordination and it's just an interpretation of coordination issue, because clearly Reed's team wanted them there, arranged for them to be there, brought them about, had basic conversation. Is that something that the Commonwealth is now knee-jerking on and producing some sort of paperwork that makes it look like there was some sort of financial transaction that the judge has misinterpreted, whatever? Because she did get angry. Allie's totally right. Like the physical response that she came back, it was like someone had just licked a Duracell, man. She came back and like, all right, okay. Now, what makes me think that, and I'm an absolute SOB when it comes to motivations of judges sometimes, because I've met enough of them to realize they are all people. They are all people. And they want hard things to go away. And they want messes to disappear. That if she saw a hook to hang her hat.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
And man,
was it anger or excitement? Was it anger or excitement?
And it's like, oh man, finally, I can F this case. And we have more than one case in my office that gets that close to going, and then magically something, and you're like, come on, people. Judges are not immune.
She had 30 minutes behind. She had 30 minutes. What was she still so angry about?
There were some clerks in there. Oh, I want to know who was on the. Oh my God, did you? Okay, now that you've seen that, like, because you know it blew. If you think that judges in their universe don't gossip and chat just like the true crime, yeah, you're nuts.
Yeah,
people all don't want their signals exposed because they say and do horrible things. Hold on. If you file for discovery, you can see where they do all that. Ha ha. So really, she was, man.
Something. It was something.
Physical reaction.
Oh man. It was like, it was really, really, really hard to tell what it was. And like, so I think if there's anything to come from that tomorrow,
there's a little reverberation.
Who?
No,
me?
No, that's actually a cat purring. That is literally Justice Kitteh here.
Justice Kitteh is purring. So where I think it's going to, if there's anything that exists, it's going to have to do with the fact of this contact between Allen and Wolf. And as you said, Josh, if there was some kind of prohibition in place about communicating, which I just find hard to believe.
I don't think that's the issue. I think first of all, I'll go on record saying it would be ineffective assistance to not prep your witness before trial, but
pretty solid right there. I've read that ineffective complaint, but and lawyer never reached out and worked with the expert, never got the expert, never explored experts. I think I literally just read that appeal today.
Well, I mean, that's my point. So
the problem is what they said. They said we never substantively discussed their findings.
Yeah, so there is an echo. So somebody's got a phone on. Somebody's got a phone on.
Bob, you have two windows open. You like to do that sometimes.
No, I don't. Let me see. I don't. It's not me.
It's not me. I've got all my stuff off.
Let me see.
And you sure it's not the kitty cat?
No, I could hear Bob, I think.
Yeah, I don't have
Meow. Luke, I am your father.
Meow. Meow. Meow.
Yeah, no, like I'm not seeing anything. It's weird. It's weird.
All right.
But it just started, that echo, right?
Yeah, it wasn't going the whole time.
Now I don't hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, but
them tapping into the feed.
Yeah, exactly.
Into the skiff. That's exactly.
Judge is like, don't try to say I was excited to blow this defense up.
if there was a prohibition in place that prohibited Jackson from being able to communicate with his then expert witness, somebody who was testifying on the defense's behalf, in terms of prepping him, which is completely normal. It's completely normal to say, hey, this is my script. Is there anything that you think I should add? And then there's back and forth. He's not trying to, like, there's certainly no, hey, I need you to change the substance of your report or your opinion. None of that's taking place. This is all just questions that he should ask.
And how ridiculous would that be? Hey, I know the feds just finished hiring you. Would you care to manipulate your testimony to more meet the defense in this cop murder? Y'all, come on now. That's not how you run an expert witness business. They all get paid for the work.
But people don't seem to understand that the easiest way to get a lawyer off the case is when they're in on a pro hoc. That's what people don't get. She doesn't have to do anything other than pull his pro hoc, and Jackson's done. Now, does that mean that I think Jackson would turn around immediately, fight to get back on the case, similar to what happened in Richard Allen's case, in the sense that, they weren't pro hoc and there was no due process. She just steamrolled him out of the case, the Supreme Court
makes the judge in a real bad spot, because you've now turned from, no, I'm going to allow you to swim in our pool. You have swum in other pools well, and you have a local lifeguard, so we're going to allow you to swim in this grand pool.
Right.
To be ejected from the pool mid-case, that is a huge change that's going to have to be justified. There's going to be due process, and you're then going to raise the attention of everybody else who does pro hoc all over, which is a lot of us.
Yep.
And judges can't just willy-nilly de-pro hoc people, because then you talk about weaponizing the government. Man, if it turns into the way I'm going to win your cases by de-pro, that ain't the way that
right. I'm like, it's easy, but she's still got to she's still got to show some serious
and that's
stuff.
Got to be something legit.
Right.
It because cannot be, oh, you didn't turn over this receipt. Oh, you spoke out at no. There's got to be some active,
serious
misinformation.
100%.
Because the relationship is in effect. They've got the attorney-client relationship, and
for all intents and purposes, he's lead counsel.
Yeah.
Like the after effects, the aftershock of that would be enormous in this case. The thing would have to get delayed. That's not going to be the move. I'm willing to step out on a limb here.
I still think she was ready to try with all that either excitement or anger.
I think it was based on Brennan's misstatements that it was that the feds are the ones who turned this all over, because it makes it look like the defense was hiding the ball. And then when he comes out after she's steaming for 30 minutes, then he says, "Oh, Your Honor, by the way, I misspoke. It was actually the defense did send all this stuff to me." At that point, she should have said, "Okay, all right, Mr. Brennan, that was quite a blunder. Mr. Jackson, do you have any responses to what he's saying?" And at least let Jackson be like, "All right, well, I don't have it with me because, they blindsided us with this," which Brennan did. Like, Brennan knew he had gotten all the emails 3 days prior. If he wanted,
he definitely was trap setting and springing, and
100%.
Which, hey, sometimes that's what you got to do, but it better be a real trap.
Right.
Like, Brennan does not want to be there being like, ha, I just tried to execute my opposition. If you're going to shoot at the king, you better be a good shot.
Right.
Because the miss is if they can come back with, no, here's the explanation, Judge, let's keep going, ready to defend this. Brennan loses political capital, loses momentum. Brennan had done a really good job about changing the momentum of this trial. He loses all that if tomorrow turns into a big nothing burger kind of thing.
And he's a defense guy. It's like he's a defense guy who's in as a special prosecutor. It's like
you know enough guys that love trial.
Yeah.
And you know that if you are given the bone, and come on, the guy's prosecuted lots of cases before becoming a defense attorney, and he found an opportunity to do something high profile for good money that he probably got told, go fix the mistakes, run wild. If you can save this, man, you're a hero. He's got a built-in walkaway because of how screwed up everything else is.
But he took the approach of like, I'm going to look at this with clean eyes and I'm going to make an independent evaluation and decision, when if that's the case, he was never going to do that.
No, yeah. But he still kind of retains that with the, well, after assessing the case, I realized we could go prosecute it if we did this, but if anything went against us, we would have to do, and it's a trigger. He ends up being a bag holder. Someone takes the hit. You know, the old man's basically gone. The power transition in and around Canton is ongoing. We're seeing pretty severe shakeout in local law enforcement. And if Canone really what if she's just trying to get another pause?
Right.
You ever had a judge just not want to deal with something? And if she punts it far enough, guess what? There's other trials. And yeah, that's gonna, and you know, she's not out there running over people right now.
Right.
We got a couple other murders to try.
All right. So here, I'm going to put everybody on the spot as far as the issue as to whether or not something's going to come of that. I'm calling it's a nothing burger. It's much ado about nothing. Allie, what do you think?
About in general, like the whole
No,
thing?
tomorrow, the issues, whether something's going to happen with Jackson, whether there's going to be some kind of admonitions or sanctions. I think nothing's going to come of it. I think it's a nothing burger.
I think nothing, depending, because first of all, look, I think that he, being Brennan, pointed out everything on that outline that was substantive. And there was like 2 comments that was like substantive, and one wasn't substantive to their findings. It was just general accidents happen at night. And then the guy testified to that very same fact. So I don't think it had to be disclosed ahead of time. The other was, you know, we have to get the jury to understand that not going to the scene is not a big deal. That's normal. That still, I don't think, is considered substantive discussion about their findings, their testing, you know, all of that. So unless there are substantive discussions that they had, I can't imagine it going over anywhere. And again, I think if they had it, I think Brennan would have tossed it out there.
100%. And why would they? The report was in stone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right. So make the call, Allie. Much ado about nothing, or you think something's going to come? All right, Josh.
Hold on, I'm going to fix my camera here for a second. The cattail refocuses it, and then it's like, what's going on here? So I'll be I think tomorrow, I'm sorry, that's gotten all fuzzy now. I think tomorrow is very much much ado about nothing, assuming that whatever her questions are, get a straight-faced response.
Right.
And I don't think that the defense is nervous or scared or anything like that.
Neither.
I think they're going to go up there and go, there's some sort of miscommunication that the state has, or the Commonwealth has turned into a gotcha piece of evidence.
And hopefully it turns into a slight admonishment against the state going off half-cocked and misleading the court.
Because guess what? People do that all the time. Oh my God, that's my smoking man. Check your gut there for a second. You got to go back and sleep on that before running gung-ho ahead. Right. If breathe had the goods, and I mean the goods, they get dropped right there on the table. Mic drop moment, walking out. Yeah, Judge, we'll have that hearing later on. Let me just make sure y'all see.
Right.
Come on. The mic drop, the ego moment of being able to do that. No. That didn't happen.
Did not happen. All right, so
I suggest that Josh turns off and back on his camera.
Yeah, turn off. Oh wait, he just got clear. You just got clear right when you turned it off. There you are. You look beautiful now.
Amazing.
All right, the next thing I want to move to, which I think is a fascinating aspect of this. So we all know that Turtle Boy had finally got a juror. He actually, comported himself reasonably well during this interview with the juror. So he didn't scare the guy off. He got him on there for 2 hours. He asked a lot of questions. And the one thing that mattered to me in terms of double jeopardy is it is clear. It is abundantly clear. And this guy came on with his real name. He was showing his face, that all 12 of them agreed that she was not guilty on counts 1 and 3, but they thought it was an all or nothing proposition. They've now kicked it over to the federal track. It's going on over there. And I mean, to me, I don't know that there's going to be a way for the federal courts to override what the rules are in the courts, in that it's not a verdict unless it's recorded. But man, fundamentally, it's screwed up. I mean, like if they like, God forbid she gets, which I don't like why they're still proceeding on the second degree murder shit is beyond me. They just don't have the evidence for it. I've never thought that.
I'll give them the fairness of they get to work with what they work with, because I've been the beneficiary of unjust rulings plenty of times myself. I've benefited from many stupid things. So let's just set a few things straight on this verdict issue. It is incredibly clear that no verdict was reached because that's a technical thing. And if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. Sucks. Rules on, and the two of you know as well as I do that the system is set up with those rules to benefit the organization, that being the courts and justice. And they can say all that sucks, unfair, crappy. We wouldn't do it like that. I totally feel for you, but no. And that's exactly what it is. And guess what? Right. The buck stops somewhere, and it's gross. Right. And who do I believe isn't fun? I think the judge totally boned it. I passed 15, 20% onto both litigation teams for failing to poll a damn jury after the biggest trial they've had in years. But judge, come on now.
Right. And it's built into their statutes. Like she has the ability to ask.
Yeah, there was a training at every judge camp in America, because people that don't know, judges go to judge camp every year. They go. It's a week. We just had ours. Literally, they go to that great state-owned convention center. They get super wasted in the bar. There's all kinds of shenanigans, and they get taught how not to be a dumb judge. And they literally pick these cases out and go, all right, everybody, we all saw what happened there. Don't do that.
Right.
In Georgia, it's all YSL, but you know the Karen Reed, everybody be sure you get that stuff really locked down on that stenographer and stuff. Otherwise, you see how much money we had to spend to go redo it. But the feds, nothing. Until we get to literally habeas, fundamental fairness, and a wholesale revisiting of the entire criminal justice system, that trial had a crappy result, and it's done.
Yeah, well, I agree. And that's taking into consideration. I thought Jackson put together a pretty fervent argument regarding the instruction itself. He's like he had a very lengthy back and forth with Judge Cannoni about the fact that there was nowhere on the two subordinate counts, 1 and 3, or especially 1, where you could check not guilty. She's like, okay, well, there doesn't need to be it, because if they reach that, then it means by operation that they found her guilty on those things. If they check guilty, if they didn't check guilty, they found her not guilty. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, instead of just having it where, because like that all or nothing proposition, but you're right. At the end of the day, with the courts on the federal side, they're going to say, sorry.
Yes,
there wasn't a verdict.
From the double jeopardy. And really, I'm horrifically offended at the wastefulness of this and how this entire justice idea in this case has just spun wildly out of control and is filled with egos and terribleness. And it shows how the system is busted. It's all awful, but the law is really pretty clear.
Yeah.
And I think that it shouldn't be retried, but jeopardy did not attach for the purposes of double jeopardy because there wasn't a verdict.
Especially under the federal law.
Yeah.
But I do want to note, and I'm going to say this again because it drives me crazy and I can't stand it. And this was based off of a couple hours of research after the state filed its motion, because, or maybe while we were waiting for it, I can't no, right after it filed it. But under Massachusetts law, where a mistrial is declared because of a hung jury, common law, double jeopardy principles entitle the defendant to a review of the legal sufficiency of the evidence before another trial takes place.
Love it.
He did not raise that.
State remedies rule.
They
State
didn't raise
remedies
it.
are friggin' awesome.
It goes on, during which the trial the court must decide whether rational trier of fact could have found each essential element of the crime charged beyond a reasonable doubt at the first trial. If not, retrial of defendant would violate common law principles of double jeopardy. They went on to say, if that occurs, the evidence will not be sufficient to withstand defendant's motion, quote, unless it allows the court to do more than find that there was some record evidence, however slight, to support each essential element of the offense. And it goes on to say, further, evidence is insufficient if it merely piles inference upon inference or conjecture and speculation, or if it tends to equally support two inconsistent propositions.
Now the question is, what's the process? Is that something they have to petition for?
Yes.
Is it something they waive if they don't? So hypothetical with me now, they go ahead and try this case. That never gets mentioned. A verdict is reached. It's awful. Do they then do an ineffective assistance of counsel for not petitioning the court prior to the second trial based under that common law? Who knows?
I don't know, because the court would say at that point, once you have a guilty verdict, they'd probably say, well, it wasn't so speculative. There wasn't two. But right now, you've got, even if it was 9-3, even if it was 6-2.
Yeah, now
but 12 jurors said they did not sustain their burden. So even if it's not a verdict, if they would have at least challenged the legal sufficiency of the evidence, I think they would have had a real chance.
I agree. And I think that there are those remedies out there. I don't know Jackson. I don't know Yannetti personally. I assume they are as smart as I think they are. How those fit into the pathway of a complicated trial that is long form are really fascinating, because you know as well as I do, you don't necessarily pull out all the awesome on the first go around. And if you've got some good stuff that you don't want to, man, people get tried for appeals.
Right.
Decisions get made to focus on X rather than Y, because we can always do Y later. And I don't see anything that is ethical that both parties, both sides, and the judge won't try, because the defense is clearly teed up. This is a bet the farm. It's everything. Same with the state. The emotions could not be higher. And obviously, whatever happens, there's going to be likelihoods of riots in Massachusetts, which is just insane to me. The way that some people have connected with this. And and
the Massachusetts Supreme Court, was it the Supreme Court or the Supreme Judicial Court? Yeah, I don't know why I'm echoing. I'm going to try when Bob comes back to log off and back on. But they said in their ruling, the defense did not raise the sufficiency of the evidence, so we're not going to consider it. Yeah. And it's a double jeopardy, common law double jeopardy principle.
But again, non-codified, common law, got to claim it, got to petition, got to raise it. Because otherwise you sound like the sovereign citizen with, I found a case that said, like, Canone's gonna, if she wants to try this case, she's gonna jam it down our throats.
100%.
Like, I'm gonna remove my.
Yeah, she's gonna just jam it down our throats.
There's no question. There's no question about it. And I think that for the purposes of that, they did waive it. Just like I thought, because I'm still hearing it. You got something going on?
It may be me, man.
Let me see.
Hold on, let me turn off mine. And I got to go here in a few minutes.
No. Are you serious?
Man, we can do this like 3 more times this week. My lovely, amazing, wonderful woman that I care about is gone on a business trip, and my daughter is with her mom. So, man, we can do this more later this week. I
love it. Dude, I love it.
Talk about Thursday night or Friday night, man.
All right, cool. All right, so here, now this, and I want your opinion on this. Yeah. In a world where Josh Schiffer is moving in to defend this case, in terms of, I've been very clear about it. I am not a fan of the conspiracy thing. I think that the strongest evidence in this case is the fact that he does not appear to have been hit by a 6,000-pound vehicle. I would lean into that so hard that you wouldn't even know what hit you.
Especially knowing how aggressive the state's going to be in preemptively attacking a bunch of "are you kidding me?"
Yeah, dude, and Brennan's not doing that thing that I called the pre-buttal case where what Lally did, where he tried to get ahead of it. He put all the witnesses that he knew that the defense was going to call to try to get in front of it. Of course, he didn't prep any of them, and
it was an unmitigated disaster.
It was an unmitigated disaster. So Brennan's not doing any of that shit. My point being, assuming that Wolf and Rensler make it through tomorrow, if that in fact gets handled tomorrow, and she's going to allow them to testify, because I think that the only thing that may happen is a sanction, is she might bar those two guys from testifying.
No, and that would require a lot of shenanigans.
I know
it's not their fault, even if there was something.
Boom, right there. If they
didn't
do anything, as long as they follow the directions, they should be like, yeah, we get to testify. You can't sanction us. That's a First Amendment issue. There's all kinds of problems.
Sixth Amendment issue.
Unless, of course, there is evidence that they did, in fact, substantively talk to the defense or did accept money over travel expenses.
Clearly, no.
Because they did testify that they didn't.
Yeah,
so,
if there's no testimony that they are that dumb, then they deserve everything dumb that happens to them. But
we all agree that, if everything going forward, Arca's going to be testifying, and Josh, what would be your approach? Are you digging into this conspiracy shit, which there is not 12 people on the planet that you are going to be there? You will never convince 12 people in one jury that thing took place. I don't give a shit. So, I mean, to me, this thing lives in reasonable doubt. I understand that they're of the mindset that they want to exonerate. They want to show that she's factually innocent. But at the end of the day, the people that think that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe are always going to think that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe, no matter what they do in this trial.
The jurors didn't.
Are you just going to try to win the goddamn case, which is, look, it's this simple. John O'Keefe was not struck by a vehicle. The state cannot prove to you that he was struck by a vehicle. The injuries are completely inconsistent with him being struck by a motor vehicle. And you live in that world.
And I think that, and we all know second trials are different from first trials. There's always a very different dynamic. I'm not saying this is how I would have tried the first trial at all, but I tend much more on your pathway of short, sweet, direct, address the crime alleged, address the state's theory, confront it full-throated, head on. It's an insufficiency case. And by the way, in addition to this insufficiency, let's talk about the system justice exists within and what it has created, because you can believe the evidence of a conspiracy theory. And I, as a defense attorney, I can't tell you that it's wrong. I can tell you we investigated parts of it. Thank God I don't have the burden to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Right. But there's certainly a lot of evidence that tends to point that way. And there's also a lot of evidence that he was never hit by a vehicle. The Lexan, to me, you win this case by having the tail light. Literally. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a tail light. Go back in the jury room with it. I'm also going to include this ball-peen hammer. That's putting action to evidence, because the big question, could hitting a drunk 6'2", whatever weight guy with a car at 25 miles an hour shatter a Lexan and leave these bruises? Having caused a couple of vehicle accidents in my life, I do not believe that is particularly realistic. You could crack a lens, but you ain't shattering it.
Right.
If you want to shatter a lens, he better have had some sort of body armor plate and it hit at the right angle, and it had to have been anchored to something real heavy and cement. That's just not how kinetics work. And I
Right.
think that if I'm defending the case, I'm doing a lot of kinetic work in front of the jury that's non-testimonial. It's demonstrative.
Right.
Yeah,
And
they need to have another expert try and literally video like you're
don't
saying,
even
I don't
think
care,
it's that.
take a hammer to the damn thing.
I think you do it in court. You OJ it. You
Yeah.
get a 10-pound sledgehammer.
Or Wolf's pneumatic cannon.
Yeah, like
I mean, he built the cannon to shoot the goddamn glass out of it. Because like I've always been like, look, if I'm defending this case, it's just as likely as anything else when they're arguing and she's like, why are you going to this party? It's 1 a.m. The kids are home. Go fuck yourself, John. This is bullshit. He gets out. We know he has the glass. And then he fires it as she's driving away.
And
snowy
causes
night.
him
He's
to
got a
lose his balance.
2.86. He's got a 0.286, BAC. He whips it at the taillight. That breaks the taillight. And while he's throwing with all of his might, his feet slip out from under him. He smashes his head on the back, like on the concrete. It doesn't knock him out cold. He gets up. He's wobbly. And then he falls and collapses in the yard. Then Lucky Laughrin drives by while he's plowing and shoots all the goddamn plastic from the shattered thing onto the lawn, and there you go. It's like, to me,
And then a dog comes by and scratches up
or
his
a
arm.
coyote. Look up, like the coyotes were rampant
vermin live in
area.
Massachusetts. Like it's the sufficiency, because that's really what we're getting to, is the 8 billion ways you say the state has shown you a lot of stuff.
Right.
And a lot of it is really strong because guess what? We pay them a lot of money to be experts at a lot of things. In fact, they paid some of our experts. Remember those guys? They came out, and when it didn't agree, we used them. But the state presented you a crap load of evidence, brought in an excellent prosecutor. He is tops. We are trying this, as you clearly know by now, a second time, because the jury's going to know this is a retrial at some point. Did the state prove the case? And in doing that, you talk about how the system has become far more than just this justice seeker for John O'Keefe or a putative avenging angel against Karen Reed and whatever you think about her. It's not that anymore. It's the system. And it's the betrayal of the system. Our system is supposed to provide us citizens and jurors justice by making good choices, having good policy procedures, keeping the rules that they've told us about, and convicting the bad people. In this case, the state's lead officer is a disaster. And we didn't even talk about that tonight. The state's own expert witnesses, they really believe the defense's version of the events. The state, and I would talk to every single point of the state's case. I would listen to it. I would ask the jury to take it really seriously. And then I would say, that is sufficient for the government to put someone in prison for the rest of your life. I need more. And when it comes to the drunk, talk to people about being drunk. Anybody ever moved somebody who is dead drunk?
It's hard.
Yeah, you get a couple of heavy drinkers, which New England is jam-packed full of. I went to undergrad there.
Crammed.
Still have those private all-male and all-female clubs that just exist, that are secretly owned by the mob and called like the Young Southportians, and it's a booze fest. These people drink.
Yeah.
And so the stories of, and it's also why the shenanigans are totally real. You can believe or not believe the whole inside the house fight, Apple, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. State certainly didn't disprove any of it when it has a lot of ability to do some of that. The cast of characters the state has brought to prove their case is fascinating. I believe societal trust on government organizations and government effectiveness is at an all-time low and sinking fast. When we were baby lawyers, if an FBI agent said that's what happened, I don't know anybody that would doubt him. Now an FBI agent says that's what happened. 30% of my jurors are going, no, it didn't.
Right.
Like never before in my career have I been able to so openly question the works of authorities and tell people with a straight face, that's what the government is telling you.
Do you believe the government? Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on these days. There's no belief in the government.
And that's the best part is what we do is truly nonpartisan. You can be a rabid conservative and be very pro-criminal defense, just like a rabid progressive, because we want the system to work.
Right.
And the system is suffering. The system is breaking down all the way to the top court in the land, where we have ethics issues that, had it been any of the three of us, we would have been bounced and our ticket pulled in 1 second.
Right.
Had we cheated on our ethical disclosures like that. Are you kidding me?
Right.
They would pull your ticket faster than you could sit down.
Yep.
Yet they want to build statues for people. And that's not a political issue, people. It's not. It's a, hey, the people that judge you, should we use the same ethics that we demand on everybody else?
Yeah.
Not hard.
No.
And now we get to talk about that in court. I live in Fulton County, Georgia, where I get to mention Fani Willis as the prosecutor. You don't think I'm going to bring up everything she's ever said in the press? You're nuts.
Right. You know, the one thing though that I disagree with Bob, I don't know if it's necessarily a disagreement, but unless of course you're going with the pneumatic, gun thing and the throwing, you have to go somewhat into conspiracy, a frame job, because otherwise, how is the entirety of the taillight there at the scene?
Lucky Laughrin.
Nervous cover up. One little lie turns into somebody telling another lie, and then you got 3 people involved in a lie triangle, and then someone doesn't want to bend, and the lie gets bigger because we all know. My belief about John Benet Ramsey, a little lie turned into now the world's biggest, longest conspiracy that no one will ever talk about, because at some point it involves burning people at the very beginning of the wick.
Right.
And there's big problems with that, because who are the people that told some little lies? Cops and other people. And, if you're a lying cop in one case, hopefully the lawyers are going to make you a lying cop in all the cases.
Right.
And if you're the spouse of a lying cop, if you are a representative of law enforcement, if you're deeply involved in the local government and you're burned like that, you know how sensitive people are about reputations that we don't even think about. They're really concerned about. And so at 2 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning the next day, it'd be really possible for someone to say a small lie that then somebody else stupidly ratifies, magnifies, continues, expands the scope of. Next thing you know, because this was all supposed to just go away real quick, people don't think, oh, how's this lie going to resonate 4 years from now in the middle of a trial? No, they don't think about that. They go, how's this lie going to work right now? Oh, it's going to stop the inquiry right now? Tell the lie. Stop the inquiry. Oh, the inquiry can stop. Oh, shit. Now I got to actually figure out, okay, so let's talk about how that actually happened. What are the ways that could have actually happened? Well, that's not too fucking crazy. Let's go with that one. And then they commit to a plank of the lie.
And then you have to remember the lie.
It's the worst part. It's the worst part. Lying, especially if it has anything to do with your profession, ethics, what you do can get you arrested. Lying is literally a choker around your neck that you have to carry and drag the rock.
Right.
A lie is something you have to carry.
Right.
How dumb are you to give that to somebody? Please wrap this around my neck. Make it so I can't ever fart in the wind without going, does that contradict what I told that guy? That's how the feds get you every single time you ever do a Fed investigation. The feds do this. Hey, let's just have a talk. Oh, yeah, man, you're the feds. I didn't do anything wrong. No, you didn't do anything wrong. So let's ask you some real specific pointed questions that really lock you down on a few specific facts. And then I'm going to come back in 6 months and say, hey, this guy said that and that conflicts. So we don't want to go arrest that guy, but we got to arrest somebody because due to that conflict, man, somebody committed obstruction. Well, you didn't tell me I was sworn. You weren't sworn, but I'm a federal agent. I'm doing an investigation. And you told me something that may not be true in the eyes of some people. That's technically obstruction. So put your hands behind your back. Oh, you do want to cooperate and plead and give us everything. Awesome.
We thought so.
Every Fed case ever.
I know, man.
Like, people understand when the Fed comes and gets you, they don't indict you. They just write you a letter. And they're like, hey, we have you. You should get a lawyer. They should call us. We will tell that lawyer how bad we've got you. We will then give them all of the documentary evidence. And then we will ask if you want to take a plea, or should we actually have to do something to prosecute you? And that's called pleading on information.
Yep.
And it happens all the time.
All the time.
People love to talk about how big and bad their federal defense lawyer is. Any federal defense lawyer will tell you that if you're given a chance to plead on an information, it can really be in a great reason, because that means the feds have limited their investigation and they can always find more.
Right. Always.
Always. If they want to keep adding pages to the book, they will.
And if you're stupid enough to take them to trial, you're losing.
I am very happy to know some very successful federal criminal defense lawyers. They will tell you that the real it's mistakes by the Fed. It is never the fact. It is a mistake by the Fed that allowed an acquittal.
Yep. Allie won 2 in a row.
It's
2 federals.
It's beyond, like, the USA's get offended. Like, it hurts their very souls to lose a criminal case.
It does. And the difference between the feds and the state is they're very deliberate in terms of they are in no hurry. They build their case. The shit's bulletproof.
Don't care about the other cases out there. Don't care that no. Your case is going to be prosecuted specifically. It doesn't matter how they did other cases. This is your case and your client, and they don't screw around. And winning a federal case is a huge, huge thing.
Yeah.
Because the Fed doesn't play around. That's why it is so easily manipulated, turned into weaponization, politically manufactured, et cetera, et cetera. It's just that most of the time the Fed's going after international drug traffickers and people that most people agree should be gone. When they turn that on other people, the Fed is one of the most difficult agencies to effectively litigate against, to win against. Federal trials are very rare. They're outrageously time-consuming and expensive. It's nothing like a state court trial. And if they want you, they can keep piling. They know how to pile it on like nobody's business. It's just ridiculous. But guys, I hate to cut you off. It's not.
Hey, we love you, man.
Let's do this again soon, man.
Yeah.
Tell your husband to get off his duff and make more invites.
We love you, man. Thank you for the hang. Of course, I knew it was going to be awesome, and it was. Hey, we've dropped your Twitter in here. If you guys don't follow Josh on Twitter, make sure you do. Make sure you do. You got anything else you want to promote? You got any court?
No, man. I just love it. A lot of the people that appear that are practicing, man, I love this stuff. Jack Rice, Kirk, Front, like Sonny, you love this stuff.
Love it.
And it really is fun.
It is.
I don't make an extra nickel. If you know anybody that's been injured or arrested, really I love my sales pitch. I have the easiest sales pitch of all time. Don't call me. Don't.
I love you. You're the best.
If you're calling me, shit, man, that is bad. Because my partner does like dead babies and multi-million-dollar first-party insurance out of our St. Thomas office. So like my practice is varied. We settled a really awful woman getting beaten in a church gym case this week. We did a Uber car wreck case that was stupid because the way they fought. That pays me pretty well because I love retail law. I love going to court. I went to court this morning. I'm going to court tomorrow morning. I'm very reasonably successful. I don't want for things. I love going to court. It's super fun. If you're going to court not for you, court's awesome. Where'd you go to work today? An office? Ha! I got to park downtown, eat, drink coffee, hang out with my buddies, bullshitting and chatting. Then at some point, I worked. I worked by talking to another lawyer that I'm probably making more money than and probably way happier. And they hate what they do because they're dealing with like 900 cases. I'm going to be like, hey, and then I'm going to go to lunch. And I love lunch. We have an unlimited lunch budget at the firm. We unlimited. Doug can play all the golf he wants, and I can eat at every restaurant in America whenever I want. For whatever.
Sounds like a fair deal, man.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the benefits package.
You got the way better end of that deal, by
Doug
the way.
Loves golf, man. Doug loves golf, and when he's golfing, it's the time. There shall be no getting Doug. No, Doug's golfing. Dead.
I'm off the grid.
Yep.
Do not you dare. Do not you dare.
I don't even care when he brings the golf on our dumb trips, because it's like, nope, that's his thing. Why? He never questions my food spending. So I go to lunch, then I like go hang out at my office for a couple hours. Then I get to do this. I love talking about this stuff.
Me too.
So really, I anytime you guys want, I think you guys do fantastic work. I think that your content is legitimate. It's engaging. It is not overly biased or exploitative. You are not out there banging on some end of the spectrum, trying to click. No, you guys are honest, good, decent broadcasters sharing legal news, sharing analysis, talking about how we view things from what we do from our experience, which is really important, because we you know, you ain't going to hear it except from people that do it.
Right. That's it, man.
I wish more prosecutors had the freedom to come and talk about, because, as you know, prosecutors have some really interesting stories too. Hardest job prosecutors have is going to their boss with a file that is filled with police officers and going, yeah, let's dismiss this.
Yeah.
Right.
And it does happen, not enough.
Right.
But those stories are how they plan to prosecute cases.
Yep.
Oh my God, it's fascinating.
Yeah, you got to get them retired then.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, we love you, man. Thank you
so much. Really
you,
appreciate it. You guys have a great evening. All right.
You too,
And
my
bye,
friend.
everybody. Follow me on Twitter and such. All right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Ciao. He's the best. He's the
He's the
best.
best.
I love him. I love him.
So did something come out? People I saw in the chat were talking about Judge Bev made a ruling denying all the things, denying something. I don't know.
The order on the various motions in limine regarding she denied quite a few. There were a couple that were that she granted by agreement. There was one that she was better. She's taking a wait and see approach still.
Wait, did the defense file their affidavit?
Their affidavit? Oh, you mean their motion dismissed?
Again. No, they were supposed to file an affidavit with more details about why they needed him and to counter.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen it. Tracy said she emailed. I don't know if that was tonight. I haven't been looking.
And then I saw a motion come down, a supplement in Richard Allen. Did you discuss that yet today?
The affidavit, I didn't. I tweeted about it. I mean, essentially, Baldwin put out that, the affidavit of the independent party, the third party that can verify that he called the Carroll County Courthouse at the behest of Reese Davis to find out if they were getting the letters, and that the woman at the prosecutor's office said, yeah, he's getting them. So that's it. That's it.
There's that.
So, all right. We're going to dip.
Well, let's thank some people for their generosity.
People, I'm going to check and see if we're portaling over to Steve.
Yeah, and also check your Venmo and stuff just to make sure, because I sometimes people send stuff. Melissa, thank you for your generosity, and he did say where he got those glasses.
He did. I think it was called iBob.
It was, yeah. Fitz, thank you for your generosity, and thank you for the compliment. She loves you too, Bob. And thanks for all we do for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa, again, thanks again for your generosity. That was pretty quick how she came up with call it jab. Josh, Allie, and Bob should team up for an hour each week and tell us crazy stories and wrap up weekly news. Call it jab.
All right, let me see. So I want to do.
I'm going to keep. You don't have to tell us what you're doing. Well, I'll just keep talking to the people.
All right, so I want to find Steve. I like doing that.
No one wants to hear it.
Who was doing that the other day? And you're like, there's that person that talks about what they're doing while they're doing it.
It was me. I was doing it when I was alone.
Oh, I thought it was adorable. So wait, Steve's not live? It's not Steve. I guess Steve's not live. I don't see him.
Jay's not live anymore. They created a feed for us for tomorrow.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna put
The
that back
portal
up.
is set for tomorrow. That's Mandy.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Noshley 66, thanks for your generosity. The feds are done, no charges. God bless corruption. Yep, that was definitely echoed tonight. Bob has said before he just does not think that Bev is totally biased. I just to me,
I think she's as biased as every single judge on the planet is towards the state. Like, I mean, you find very, very few defense-oriented judges. Like, they all seem to lean towards the state. The state's in that room with them every day. They just, like, I don't know what happens when they get on the bench. I've seen defense bar guys go up there.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that I don't like the way she had nothing to say from the bench whenever the state's behavior, law enforcement behavior and conduct was called into question when an inverted video is like, I didn't like how she was so quick to jump and attack the defense and say this is going to be dire for the defense and the defense team. So that right there is to me what shows, just innate bias, just built in, you know. Courtney has been a member for 9 months. Thank you. And she thinks that Judge Bev is upset because the judge thinks that Alan Jackson misrepresented, quote, the relationship with Arca. We shall see, but that definitely seems to be one of the many reasons she might have been upset for sure. Pammy, thank you for your generosity. I thought this comment was cute. I put it up there twice, putting Joshua in my pocket. Come on, Josh, let's go frolic and prance the halls of
Pammy, are you coming to AdvocacyCon in Indy? Your daughter's fantastic event. Are you coming to that?
Oh, whose mom is Pammy?
Whitney.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, you've met.
Love Whitney.
Sure, yeah, Whitney is amazing. They're both Whitney and Melissa are both.
I don't remember if I met her mother or not, but
I love Pam. I've been lucky enough to meet Pammy multiple times in real life, and she's more delightful than she is in chat in real life. She's just salt of the earth, amazing, wonderful human being, who raised good people. It's the apple never falls far from the tree. Well, all right. I'm texting with Vinny now. We're actually going to move that thing up probably 15 or 20 minutes so that Vinny and I can pregame before Karen Reed starts. And hopefully Allie's going to be joining us as well. We're excited to have Vinny on
tomorrow.
To be a blast with Vinny for the Reed hearing. Should be a good live, y'all. Hopefully you'll all join us. Please, 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 please.
Is that Eastern?
Like button
at 9:30.
Share, subscribe, hit the like button. I haven't checked. I don't know what it's at. It's free. I mean, do you guys come here and like hate us and that's why you don't hit the like button? Like a 10% like to viewer ratio is absurd.
Let me see what's
do better. We love you guys. It's the free way to help us. It helps get us out into the algorithm. You guys have to be sick of me saying that, but I'll never stop saying it because we're always supposed to remind you. That's what they tell us. Who they is, I'll never know. I'll never know.
We actually have 238 likes.
That's pretty good. That's
Why
pretty
am
good.
I echoing? I think I'm echoing through your microphone.
Absolutely not. You're absolutely not. I don't even hear the echoing anymore.
I just heard it just there.
That's fair, Kraken. That's why I remind you. That's why I remind you. Yeah, it's easy to forget the mute for sure because it's like I put it on, and it's typically to be respectful to y'all because I don't want to cough in your ear or I'm chewing or something like that. All right, so no, like the schedule is still. This was a morning thing, so technically, like bumping it up 15 minutes, it's good. You guys, we get more Vinny time because we're gonna want to listen to what they're saying. So Vinny and I will be sitting there, obviously pausing when exciting shit happens, but so make sure that you guys are hitting your notifications, like, share, subscribe. Mods, you guys did unbelievable work today. Double duty all day. We love you. We adore you. You guys are amazing. You're the best mods in the world. We are so lucky to have you. We love you. We love you. We love you. a million times over. And to you guys, all the people that hang with us, when you have so many other places you can hang, we adore you. We have the best community on YouTube. I'll die on that hill. Exactly. So we love you guys because without y'all, I'm just an old man.
Talking all fucking day long.
Boom. See ya.